Mm.
So I know that you did many different kind of work before. Can you briefly talk about your um, past art practice?
Mm. Yeah. I mainly my art practice mainly focus in the relationship among human nature, urbanization, and cultural identity. So I'm really glad that I can have this interview with you because it will be really interesting that I'm in Hong Kong and you're in Vancouver, that far away, and based on the same issue, and we have experience sharing.
I find cultural identity is a topic that is really unsettled. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it would be really interesting if we can explore this topic in this interview.
Mm.
So I saw your new work,
Mm-hmm.
a better place to be serious.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this photo, which is really interesting because you collect soil from natural environment in Hong Kong and you paint this soil onto the street.
Yeah.
Road sign, construction site fence, and retaining wall and document them with photos.
Yeah.
Can you talk more about your process and why did you have this action?
Mm-hmm. I mainly collect the soil from some nature environment in Hong Kong,
Mhm.
and the street and urban space that I pick will have some relation with the specific location of the place that I pick up the soil. Um, and I do this because the soil itself from a specific location and the urban space on specific location have their own context. And when I put it together, they will create a new context. And usually, um, both of them have the background of some changing or some reconstruction, and is uh, witnessing seems like witnessing the the development and the changing in the Hong Kong, and so that I pick them to 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 paint it on and document it.
So, do you see this photo as a performative work,
Mhm.
or is more like your documentation of your work?
Mhm. I think that's the process itself is quite performative, and the photos itself is because the visual elements in it. I also want it to. It's really important. I want it to show it to the audience because the contrast of the colors of soil and the street. It's make it look like a little bit surreal, and it make the context that I want to express will come up from the contrast themselves. And the the process that I pick up the soil, collecting it, and paint it on the street is quite it's not is really performative because I need to go there to pick up soil and to directly paint on the street. So the document and the photos is also documenting the marks that left behind my performance.
So, are you trying to evoke the audience in an emotional or intellectual level in your work?
I really want to guide the audience into a more intellectual way. Um, I usually don't want to my work to be too emotional because I really want to let the audience to think about the issue and the context that in my work rather than to be really emotional and neglecting what am I saying in my work. And usually my practice and my in my work is more conceptual way. And I like to think so. Uh, so I will do it in that way.
So you mentioned that you were influenced by Chinese painting, and you
Mm.
have reflected your experience by drawing on a hand scroll instead of standard canvas.
Mm-hmm.
So right now you are not. So right now you abandon that format and you start to work on the material itself.
Yeah.
So what and why did you make this decision?
Mm. I think that at that moment I want to search for my cultural identity. So I start from the the things that influence me the most. So as I'm Chinese in my blood, so I will pick up some reference from Chinese painting culture to do my work and art culture to do my work. So I pick up the hand roll, the long roll format to as my format to do the work. And after that, I find that it's not enough for me to search for my cultural identity as I'm living in Hong Kong, and it has more than that, and many things going on. So I think I cannot do it in just a single way. So I try to narrow down some specific or some single cultural background to do my work. So I abandon that format and then I pick up some more simple form to do my work, just like geometric form and some more neutral things, just like soil and plant to do my work and colors. Yeah, this is the main reason why I switch the, the direction.
So are you trying to framing or unframing the cultural identity in this way to
Mm,
evoke the audience in a different intellectual level?
mm. I think I'm I'm not specific in framing some issue to glorify or some framing the cultural identity thing. I just want to bring out this issue and let the people think about who they are and what we are, and then why is search for the cultural identity is important. Because I think that in a human society, um, to know who they are is really important. Because I really believe that if you don't know who you are and then you live for your whole life, it's meaningless. So I really want to bring up this question, especially for Hong Kong, this place. Um, Experiencing the colonial history, and they have the strong Chinese cultural background, and also they have different group of people living in here and some overseas Chinese coming back. So I think it's more complex in the cultural identity. So I really think that it is important to bring out this issue through my work. And
You mentioned that you're trying to seek your cultural identity through this various medium.
yeah,
So like from the earth tone, you collect soil from Iceland,
yeah.
and from your A4 paper series,
Hmm.
you collect plant to transform into your personal paper.
Mm.
And in a better place to be serious,
Hmm.
you paint this soil onto the site. So
Yeah.
it seems that geographic location really matters in
Mm.
your work. Yeah, so if this certain location of the medium is really important to you,
Mm-hmm.
then how about your personal geographic location? Does that has a
Mm-hmm.
really specific meaning that you think your identity will affect your experience? I know that you have artists in residence experience in different countries.
Mm-hmm.
So do you see yourself and your art differently in another country?
Mm-hmm. I think that for me to search for my own cultural identity, it's important to have some feedback or some sharing or facing some people that I would consider them as others uh, to get a complete image and identity of myself, because it's just like facing a mirror. You need to face the mirror and then you know who you are, because the mirror is telling your facial appearance uh, and how you know yourself. So it's always important that to put yourself in a totally foreign uh, area or country, because so that you will have a full image of your your art practice and your work. And even though when I do some work directly in their place during the residency, uh, and then I'm picking up some elements from their own country and their cultural background, and then I will be the outsider too, and I will telling them how I see their culture. So that it's kind of a both way sharing experience, and it makes the issue and the things more rich and more complex.
Your
Mm-hmm.
new series, A Better Place to Be, you
Mm-hmm.
have this exhibition in both Hong Kong and Macedonia.
Yeah.
So I actually checked the website of your exhibition in Macedonia, but I actually find that the website is not written in English but in another language. Yeah, so do you think is there any language barrier or loss in translation that
Mm.
might affect the execution of your work?
I think that we lost in translation both in the artwork itself and the language to the public, because you can see that also directly the language is not written in English and not in Chinese either. So they will need a translation to get to the people. So uh, between uh, after the translation, usually there will a little bit of interpretation, because the word they use will be a little bit different, and they're using their thinking and feeling somehow to let the people know. And to the work itself, the people come and read my work will have their own interpretation, because myself is there in the opening, and they will seeing me as an Asian and Chinese. They will not know some differences between in Asia and also in some different region in China and Hong Kong. There will be differences too, but they are so rare to see people from Hong Kong. So they first think of all, and then they will start to read my work and think of me through the understanding from the social media and the past experience to read my work. So I think it's more from themselves, from the self deep inside, more than what I'm showing them. So I think it's interesting too, because I will know that how they react to what I'm showing them.
Do you mind to explain more about that,
Mm,
your experience in Macedonia?
mm, yeah, sure. Yeah, because I see uh, they read my work from the more Chinese traditional culture way. So no matter what my work is about, my work is maybe about representation and the reality and the contrast and the contradiction between the representation and the real world, and how I see myself and how I see myself in a city. They will see that I'm may talking about something about the Chinese culture, just like they will feel like one of my work is talking about um, five elements. Uh, it is some old Chinese uh, Taoism thing, but actually I didn't put much focus in that thing in my work, and it's not my intent in my work. But it's just a sample of how the people will think when they already considering you have your own cultural background, and they they pre reading your work, and it's the fact, it's the things how it's going on. And yeah,
If that way the artist's body affect the work, then
yeah,
do you think
totally.
in that level actually expand your conversation to a cultural identity with your presentation of your
Mm,
own body?
mhm. I think it's always happen, and it's a fact you cannot avoid it, because your physical body and your person will not be changed. You cannot change that much, and it's from your nature, and you have to embrace it too. So when people think in this way, and it's when this feedback come to you, you will also think in a way that, oh, why the people are seeing me in this, and what am I myself, my physical body relate to my work and my art practice, and how I see my cultural identity. And that's the thing that I mentioned before. Uh, when you do your work and you're self-searching, uh, you need to get some feedback and some reflection from outside, and you will have a more complete image of yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree with you that cultural identity is more than just political identity. That is so much possibilities out there. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm really glad to have a conversation with you about cultural identity today. So
Yeah,
thanks for having an interview with me.
yeah, you're welcome. I'm so happy to sharing my experience and my work with you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.